Is Donald Trump playing the Rush Limbaugh card? You know, women are standing up for their rights, and Donald Trump seems to be saying when a woman stands up for her rights, that puts her in the, quote, club for ugly women. This was Rush Limbaugh's old phrase. Remember, back in the day, Rush Limbaugh used to say constantly, you know, rule number 43 or whatever it was, you know, feminism is for ugly women. This is the definition of misogyny. Misogyny is the hatred of women. And Donald Trump is like the champion at this. When this woman, Jean, sorry, I don't have her name in front of me, and it's not at the tip of my tongue, but E. Jean Carroll. When E. Jean Carroll claimed that Donald Trump had raped her back years ago at the Bergdorf Goodman dressing room, and by the way, Bergdorf Goodman, that store where Donald Trump is alleged to have raped Ms. Carroll, that store is on Fifth Avenue. Donald Trump literally raped a woman on Fifth Avenue and didn't lose a voter. Remember, he said I could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and not lose a voter? You know, and you know, for the Small Penis Gun Club, the metaphor still sticks. But this is really a piece of Donald Trump and many of the men who are misogynistic, who hate women. This is an essential part of their basic cruelty. It's structural misogyny. Megan Garber is writing about this over at The Atlantic. And when Trump says, oh, you know, that he didn't rape her because she's not his type, you know, obviously the next question is, well then, you know, Mr. Trump, what is your type to rape? You know, we know that it's not Rosie O'Donnell. He has said, I mean, consider the women that he's made fun of their appearance, right? He has ridiculed their appearance, which means that he is viewing them not as human beings, not as people who have, you know, an intellect and thoughts and opinions and positions and postures, you know, mothers, workers, people in the workplace, sisters, you know, daughters. He's not viewing them as any of those things. He's viewing them as objects. And the quality of women as objects in Donald Trump's world and in Rush Limbaugh's world is based on how they look, what they look like. And he's done this and Trump has done this to Rosie O'Donnell. He's done it to Carly Fiorina. He's done it to Arianna Huffington. He's done it to Bette Midler. He's done it to Mika Brzezinski. He's done it to Stormy Daniels. He's done it to Heidi Cruz, Ted Cruz's wife, and he's done it to Heidi Klum, among others. You know, referring to them as Gretchen Carlson pointed out, as fat pigs and ugly dogs. And, you know, basically saying that, you know, the only value that a woman can have is her ability to please men, either to look pleasing or to behave in a pleasing way. And this is the President of the United States. He rapes a woman on Fifth Avenue, and it's not even a big news story because, oh, well, 16 other women or 15 other women, you know, have come forward with credible accusations. I mean, there's, you know, it's in the 20s, the women who, you know, if you include the women where we haven't been able to verify that, yes, they were actually there, yes, he was actually there, yes, it could have happened. This is number 16, where there's a high probability that, yeah, you know. And his answer is, wow, she's too ugly for me. Really? In this article in the Atlantic, Megan Garber writes that the rhetoric may be singular, but it's also familiar. You can see the same strain of panic on display among the men who protested when the women of their own times argued for a measure of equality. Now, this was back in 1866. And this was just, you know, a decade before Susan B. Anthony got arrested for illegally voting. And in 1866, the Albany Evening Journal mocked a group of women asking for a constitutional amendment prohibiting disenfranchising citizens on grounds of sex. In other words, asking for the right to vote and the right to work. Those women, the Albany Evening Journal's opinion piece, the opinion of the editors, the editorial, said, quote, must have hook-billed noses, crow's feet under their sunken eyes, and a mellow tinting of the hair. And then a century later, Esquire magazine, now this was, you know, some time ago, but Esquire magazine said feminism is, quote, a bunch of ugly women screaming at each other on television.